U of A night at Chase Field, it was a great party, but there's a thing about great parties. You can't have it if someone just always is trying to crash the damn party.
Welcome on in, guys, to the AZ Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Damon Fairall. He is Kevin Thomas, and we are here in beautiful, lovely downtown Phoenix at PHNX HQ2. Kevin, it is, of course, a Wednesday afternoon here, and we got tons of Arizona Wildcats news and notes to talk about, including last night's U of A night at Chase Field as the Arizona Diamondbacks took on the Houston Astros. Lots to talk about with that. Just general football stuff leading into football season here, as well as the number one recruit in the country in Tyran Stokes and Tommy Lloyd kind of having a little bit of, public chemistry, as we can see, Kevin. But we got lots to talk about. First off, I just want to ask you, how you living today?
Doing good, doing great. I'm going to miss you over the next 2 days, though, Damon. I feel like you not being on the pod the next couple of days are really going to lack that fire that you bring to every podcast. But, yeah, no, I'm excited to talk about U of A night specifically. The boys, we don't have it for the show, because you guys know the song. But the boys sung the national anthem last night, and it was beautiful. The harmonization was on point for a bunch of ballers. So, I know that when Derek sent that into our Slack last night, my initial response was, wow, I am moved. That kind of beautiful talent makes you think about what really matters in life, Damon. You know what I mean? Moments like U of A night at Chase Field, Arizona taking over Wildcat country that is Phoenix, Arizona. But there was a guy there, right? There was a special guest, and I think you tweeted about it, right, Damon?
I did, in fact, tweet about it, and you alluded to it off the top of our show. But U of A night, we're celebrating the Arizona Wildcats, Wilma out there.
First of all,
putting on a spectacle, as they always are.
The union looks strong between Wilbur and Wilma. I know there's a lot of discussion about cheating allegations with Sparky and all this other nonsense. Their love is strong, and it is timeless. I just wanted to get that out there.
It is indeed, and you could see that strength in marriage last night out there at Chase Field. But also, you had the Arizona football players show up, right? You had a lot of Valley residents in particular kind of repping their hometown D-backs, Genesis Smith, Trey Spivey, of course, son of Junior Spivey, and as well as Genesis Smith as well. So, all three guys, grew up in Phoenix area, and I'm sure that going to D-backs games as kids was fun for them. So being out on the field, really cool moment. Noah Fafita, kind of the face of the team, the leader. The thrower as well. He gets to throw out the first pitch. Not the greatest first pitch in the entire world. I mean, it was a little bit high. I saw some people complaining, Kevin, about the lack of throwing from the mound.
Yeah.
Which I don't believe that they're allowed to do.
Is that true?
Yeah, I don't think that you're allowed to scuff up the mound
that's a good point.
Less than an hour before the game. I think that they pretty much the groundskeepers procure that in a particular way to get ready for the Major League Baseball game that they're about to have happen. But he didn't throw for the mound. He did throw a bit high. Maybe he should have been on the mound so that he could, get that little bit of extra length there. But Kevin Ginkel also didn't really do him any favors, on that catch.
He's got to frame that up better, man.
And he didn't even catch it.
He's a tall guy.
You got to he is a tall guy. You got to make us look better as Wildcats there. You know what I mean? And I saw someone, comment of the day goes to, I got to find who said this here, Kevin, because it really was pretty funny. Someone said that T-Mac would have caught it. Let's find who it was here.
T-Mac would have caught that
Peggy
ball.
McLean said T-Mac would have caught it. Unbelievable comment. Absolutely. T-Mac is that's why Noah threw it high, because he's so used to throwing it to his jump ball receiver who he knows hey, this 50-50, It's actually an 80-20. Just give T-Mac a shot at the ball. Can't blame the guy. He's still used to playing quarterback. Sorry, my quarterback's just put in a position where only his receiver can make a play. I thought that's what we wanted. But Kevin, it wasn't all good out there. It wasn't all positives out there at U of A night. As great as it was to see the Wildcats repping and as you mentioned, like Phoenix is Wildcat country. A lot of U of A fans I'm sure got to go out and kind of rep their squad and in a way that sometimes maybe they feel that they don't get to here in Phoenix, because I know that there's a little bit of that issue here, as many alumnus as we have here in this city, but someone just can't get the camera off him. One guy is just addicted, Kevin, to being in the limelight. And this guy's name is Kenny Dillingham. U of A night out there at Chase Field. The hell is he doing? Kenny Dillingham just sitting in the crowd with his family. Got people saying taking in a ball game in July. Yeah, right, man. Yeah, right. This just happens to be the game that Kenny's going to. Dude is addicted to being in the front and center. Sad, really. Because for me, like, I want my coach to be about the kids. I want my coach to be like, hey, it's about the kids tonight. Even if it's rivals, those are still the kids out there on the field getting their share of the spotlight, getting a little bit of shine in their state, right? And what does Kenny have to do? Oh, that's right. Make it about him. You just hate to see it.
What's funny, Damon, is I love that this happens solely because we do this podcast together, and I knew today that you would want to talk at least a little bit about Kenny Dillingham's presence at this game, because he was there with his family, and you really can't come at him too much for just enjoying a ball game in the summer.
Debatable.
But it is interesting that he would show up on U of A night of all nights.
Is it interesting, or is it completely contrived?
It seems a little purposeful, I will say. At least it is a troll. At most, like you are saying, he has a problem. But no, I just thought it was hilarious.
Just be about the kids, man. Just be about it's about the kids. It's college sports. I mean, come on. But yeah, people are asking, where's Brent Brennan? Watching tape, probably. maybe getting a quick workout in the gym. I don't know.
Burke style?
Recruiting. I don't know if it's a dead period right now or not. Maybe he shouldn't be recruiting. So if that's the truth, take that one away. But I don't know, probably getting better at his craft, not trying to make it all about him, not trying to be on, ABC 10 or whatever we got here in Phoenix, on the nightly news.
Well, yeah, no, you are right. I mean, Kenny Dillingham was there. It was a little bit of a distraction on U of A night of all nights for him to try to come and steal some shine from his rival Wildcats. But also, I feel like we should just, before we move on from some of this in general, we should look at Noah Fafita's first pitch, because we do have video of it. And this is Noah Fafita's first pitch. And we'll get back to Kenny Dillingham in a second. But Wildcats first. We're keeping the main thing here.
University of Arizona quarterback, Noah Fafita. Noah is accompanied by Wildcat teammates Trey Smith, Genesis Smith, and Craig Spivey, son of former D-backs player Junior Spivey. And catching the first pitch is D-backs pitcher and U of A alum Kevin Kingo.
I love Baxter getting out the speed gun there as well, to make sure that Noah Fafita's stats were kept consistent. And
we could work with that velocity, Kevin. We could absolutely work with the velocity. Yeah, the command is a little bit off, but
he wouldn't be the first guy.
No,
he has stuff. He has stuff.
He does have stuff. He has decent stuff, and on top of that, you love the motion. You gotta love the pitching motion. That is a guy who knows what he's doing. That's a guy who, he as you said off air, Kevin. He's playing Road to the Show, MLB The Show. He's firing it up, making a Road to the Show, making a pitcher, and he's going straight to like Legend 64.
Yeah,
as his pitching motion, which of course is like Cy Young or Walter Johnson or some all-time pitcher, just with like just an old school pitching motion. Absolutely love it.
You really do, and that was my initial reaction when you put it out from our PHNX_Wildcats Twitter account. Go check that out. asking people to rate the first pitch by Noah Fafita. I was a little bit critical. I said 6 out of 10, but there's a lot of room for that easily to have been an 8 out of 10. It was a ball. The guy didn't catch it. It wasn't a catchable ball because, the guy's so tall, but I think that might be a little bit on Ginkle. Maybe it might be a little bit of an effort issue. We can talk about that on the PHNX D-back show, but the mechanics are solid. That is something that if we got him with Drouin from our baseball program, the new pitching coach, if we got him in that same room with Noah Fafita, we could turn him into a real prospect, a real Kyler Murray type.
I love it. You don't see too many 5'9" pitchers out there, but if anyone could do it, it would be Noah Fafita.
Correct.
But Kevin, I kind of took the floor there on the whole Kenny Dillingham side of things. What do you think about the matter? What's going in Kevin Thomas's brain here when he sees the ASU head coach show up and try to make it all about him on Arizona night?
I mean, genuinely, I'm watching that, and Espo throws that tweet into our Slack last night, and I mean, this is my honest reaction. I'm thinking about you, Damon. I'm like, I can't wait to hear what Damon has to say about this because I know he has something to say about it. As to where you're doing the verbal meme of the day, Drewski doing the me?
No way.
Yeah, no, I knew you'd have something to say about it, and my opinion on it was like, it's kind of hilarious. It's if I'm Kenny Dillingham, that is a pretty funny troll to just show up on U of A night of all nights. Of course, it was U of A night of all nights. So I saw it as a pretty funny troll, and I knew you'd have something a little bit more to say on it than me. So that's why I kind of gave you the floor on that one, Damon.
As much as I'm joking, I do really like Kenny Dillingham, the person, and I do find it pretty funny. If I'm opening the book up completely and just, being completely truthful. That being said, it does feel like it's just like constant, just blah, blah, blah about ASU football all the time, man. I know that's kind of a factor of where we work and who we work with to an extent, but also when you're out there at Big 12 Media Day, all anybody can talk about is ASU and the Sun Devils, Sam Levitt, Kenny Dillingham. I mean, they were the stars of the show. Brett Yormark was talking about ASU like it felt like every 2 seconds that he got an opportunity to, right? And this is just more in the same. Just, all right, man. Okay, we get it. You guys are the best. You guys are going to the playoff again 2 years in a row. Might as well just chalk it up now, right? I mean, it's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I mean, imagine like playing a season and having preseason ratings that don't dictate the final result. That'd be silly, right? I mean, I think
last year it went so according to plan.
It was chalk, right? Last
Utah,
season?
Arizona, Oklahoma State. I mean, that's exactly how everyone envisioned the Big 12 was going to play out.
And it's exactly how it did play out, Damon. But I mean, unless you have more to say on U of A night, and I did want to show this photo of the boys just enjoing their time at U. Look at that smile on Noah Fafita. That is
beautiful.
Real joy. And also, can we get my guy Trey Smith a little bit of Diamondbacks merch? Can we? I love that he's repping Arizona from head to toe there. I love that. But I feel like they got everybody else some jerseys. Can we get Trey Smith the jersey?
So, I mean, it's pretty clear what's going on with the other two jerseys, in my opinion, at least. Trey Spivey, of course, is Junior Spivey's son. Junior Spivey is a World Series champion on the 2001 D-backs. Trey Spivey's got a customized,
of course,
Junior Spivey jersey on.
Of course.
Makes perfect sense.
It does.
From the 2001 era, I'm sure that the D-backs gave that to him. Maybe not this exact moment, but in the past, right? Because, he's D-backs family. Genesis Smith is Trey Spivey's best friend, also wearing a Serpientes Spivey jersey. I'm sure that was in Trey Spivey's closet, and he said, "Hey, Genesis."
Genesis was like, you don't have a black one? I mean, I can make the.
You don't have the new purple. You don't have the new purple Serpientes.
I can make the beige work. But yeah, let me go back to the drawing board here a little bit.
And then you have Trey Smith, who is not the same size as those two, and plays defensive end, and is clearly much bigger. And yeah, I mean, there wasn't like a good hand-me-down shirt. That being said, Noah Fafita got a jersey. Was he given that jersey? Did he buy it? Who knows? Let's get Trey Smith a jersey, though. Yeah. The guy's from Phoenix. This is his hometown team. Let's customize him up something. Let's get Smith on the back. Let's get his number on the back, and let's go to work, man. Like I think that you're right. You're right. Let's get Trey Smith repping Arizona football. No doubt that he's a football player, right? You see that, and you're like,
correct.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's a football player, all right. But that being said, like, yeah, let's get my boy some merch.
Let's get him some merch. And also, the only thing that tells me that no Fafita was given that jersey as of recent was it has his new number on it. It's Fafita 1. And so I feel as though, he's throwing out the first pitch, so they got to make sure he has a jersey. But if you're inviting a group of 4, and you probably knew of this a couple months ahead, maybe a month ahead,
yeah,
we can't get the guy a 2X, 3X baseball jersey just to rep. You know what I mean? You can make him return it if you want to. I don't care. If the Diamondbacks are cheap, they can make him return it if they want to. But at least for the photo ops. Come on, guys. But, Damon, we do have actual, Arizona stuff to talk about today, outside of, first pitches and fashion tips. Tyran Stokes, the number 1 player in 2026, 5-star, 6'7" wing, can do a little bit of everything out there. He was playing at EYBL recently, and he pointed at Tommy Lloyd and Tom Izzo. And Damon and I are going full Brian Windhorst today on the AZ Wildcats podcast. We're going to tell you all what it means on the other side of this break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back. Yeah, Damon, we're going to talk about Tyran Stokes here in a second. But first, I wanted to tell everybody at home about Circle K. Because Arizona might be your one-stop shop for getting to the pros and becoming a legend in your sport. But Circle K is America's thirst stop, and it's your chance to become a legend in the gas tank region of things. You can be saving money, and I'm talking about 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. If you become a member of the Inner Circle, and the savings don't stop there. You can get savings on Coca-Cola products. That also gets you savings on gas, cookies for $1, 79-cent Polar Pops, 99-cent Frosters. Circle K, they truly have it all, whether you're looking for snacks to fuel to, lottery stuff to whatever you need. Circle K has it. So join that Inner Circle for free today by downloading the Circle K app. Terms and conditions do apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details.
We always talk about matches made in heaven, the greatest duos of all time, right? You got T-Mac and Noah. How about Circle K and a little bit of Pure Edibles, Kevin?
Ooh.
Because there are Pure Edibles products at over 130 dispensaries in the state of Arizona, the Freedom State, as Kevin likes to call it. I looked it up the other day, 171 dispensaries in this state. Over 130 have Pure Edibles products. If you guys are at one of the 40 or so that doesn't have Pure Edibles, you're at the wrong dispensary, people. Go find one that does. Hit up their website and check out, which dispensaries sell these great products from our friends at Pure Edibles. They have the Kicks, of course, which are like their version of Starburst. You see them on screen, as well as their chews, such as caramel, and their hard candies for our more esteemed folks out there. But here's what's great about Pure Edibles. The effects are listed so clearly on the label that there is no confusion as to what you're going to feel after taking one of their products, whether it's trying to improve your sleep or maybe get a little bit more of an uplifting effect or so much more. They are clearly listed on that front tin. Company started out of Flagstaff, Arizona, now being created out here in Phoenix. They're a local company. We love supporting local. Go support Pure Edibles. Go check out Pure Edibles products at one of the over 130 dispensaries across the Freedom State, Arizona.
Freedom! The Freedom State of Arizona. And, Tyran Stokes is from Louisville, Kentucky. They love freedom out there.
Louisville.
Louisville.
Ask Brandon Fott. It's not the same.
All right, well, if Fott says it, then it has to be true. He is from Louisville, Kentucky, and they love themselves some freedom out there. But I hope he wants to come to the place that truly embraces freedom. You can do it all out here in the great state of Arizona, specifically in Tucson. But it seems like Tyran Stokes' commitment has all but, been sorted up until recently, right? You have your Kentuckys, your Louisvilles for obvious reasons. He's from there. Your Arkansas have been starting to get some real buzz recently. I was reading about that as well. Houston, Auburn, Michigan, Alabama, UCLA, all in on Tyran Stokes. But like I said, it does seem like it's coming down to Kentucky and Arkansas until recently.
Kentucky and Arkansas, too, is such a fun matchup for who would get him, right? Because obviously Calipari is at Arkansas, and he's kind of bringing – I'm sure Tyran Stokes, growing up, always wanting to play for Kentucky.
Ooh.
His whole life, he was thinking about playing for Coach Cal. So
Incorrect.
Really?
They're from Louisville, and I was just reading just now, his mom had a quote about how, she would prefer him to go to Louisville because they weren't big Kentucky fans growing up. They were on the other side of the rivalry.
Clearly he feels differently. I feel you. I think that, when you're from Louisville, I'm sure that you definitely lean on that side of the rivalry rather than, what's going on in Lexington. But as a high-level basketball recruit, he clearly, if he felt some type of way about playing for Kentucky or hating Kentucky, he would never consider them in his top whatever many choices.
Good point.
My point was more just saying, like, if he I'm sure growing up he always thought, if I play for Kentucky, Cal is going to be my coach. So now it's kind of like the program versus the coach that you envision potentially playing for. Continue.
That's actually a really good point. And also, money moves mountains, Damon. So
it does.
If you don't like a logo or a color that a team wears, I'm sure that the color green can fix that as soon as possible. And you'll be wearing some white and blue if that is the case. You know what I mean? But recently, Tyran Stokes was playing in the EYBL. And this video that I'm about to show is starting to do its laps on Twitter. And Arizona fans noticed a specific face sitting on the sideline. I'm going to let this one roll here, Damon. We're going to break it down here. Tyran Stokes dishes off to the corner for the three-pointer, coming back, doing his little celly. Hey, who's that?
What is that? Is that a?
Who? Oh wow!
Oh, who's the guy sitting next to the guy with the U of A?
He looks
stuff on.
It looks like, I'll be damned, that's Tommy Lloyd. And is that slumped down next to him, pondering? Is that Tom Izzo? It looks like it is. I mean, this is interesting. You also have a GCU shirt behind Tommy Lloyd. I didn't peep that the first time I looked at this, but Tommy Lloyd gets the point from Tyran Stokes. And I guess you could say Tom Izzo does too. And I wanted to point this out as well. At the end of this video, you get a little wink, bing, from Tommy Lloyd there at the end, right there. Damon,
he's so cool.
What does it mean?
Kevin, I think it means everything. If not to blow this out of proportion, but Tyran Stokes to Arizona feels like a lock at this point. Of course, Tyran Stokes was a member of the U19 FIBA World Cup team that Tommy Lloyd was just the coach of. So there's been a little bit of a building of a relationship of sorts happening there. Kevin, we kind of went into it, I think last or earlier this week, actually, where we were like, Tyran Stokes technically doesn't even have an offer from the University of Arizona. And we know how stingy Tommy Lloyd and that regime has been in terms of giving offers. It feels like they really only offer players that they feel that they have a great chance of getting or nabbing. In this case, I think that if Arizona was to offer Tyran Stokes here at kind of as his recruitment is really seeming like it's coming to an end, right? I mean, he's now of the age where you make a decision where within the next year he'll be deciding where he's going to be going to school next year. If Arizona somehow offered him in this stretch, that would be a huge indicator that there's a real shot that could possibly go down. We have no reason to believe that that's coming. But that being said, I think, you play for Tommy Lloyd. We talked about this with the entire World Cup squad. You play for Tommy Lloyd. There's not really a world where I envision where you don't want him to be your head coach. Like that would probably felt incredible. And he's a very, serious coach. He very much cares about his craft, but I think that he's very likable and easy to respect and you're just one of those guys that, you like players gravitate towards. So, I think that there's, probably a very, very slim chance that this leads to anything, but it does go to show at least that Tommy Lloyd he makes a really good impression on these high level recruits when he gets a chance to talk to them. And we see that again here with Tyran Stokes.
Yeah, we do. And I think, you mentioned the idea that if Arizona were to offer him at this stage of the game, it would feel like they must feel as though they have a really good chance. I also feel like I'd be remiss to not mention the fact that in that same article I was referencing with his mother talking about his recruitment, she said that, obviously he is the one making the decision, but this is an indication of the timing of the timeline we're on here. She said that he wants to make the decision before the season starts. And I did not know whether she meant high school season, whether she meant college season. It kind of starts around the same, time of year, obviously.
October.
But yeah, I didn't know, that gives you an exact date kind of thing, I think. But so, right now, I don't think Michigan State has offered him either. So that honestly might just be two high-level coaches wanting to go see the best player in his class, especially for Tommy Lloyd, that is a player that you just recently coached and won a gold medal with. But we are here to tell you that the point means that Arizona's not dead yet in this race. And they might not be running as fast as others, but they might start closer to the finish line than some other schools. And if they wanted to run that race, maybe they would have a chance of catching up to some of the teams at the top of his list.
No Michigan State offer. You are correct in saying that. But, Kevin, we do, in fact, have an Arizona State offer. So Bobby Hurley and staff made sure to prioritize the real realistic recruits that we could bring in. And they called up Tyran Stokes, I'm sure, early in his recruitment and just said, hey, buddy, we'd love to have you come be a Sun Devil. We'd love to have you play at McHale Center North and be a part of one of the most pathetic basketball programs on the West Coast. And Tyran Stokes probably was like, hey, lose my number, and I'm blocking it after this is all said and done.
I mean, look, I don't know. Like you said, it feels like Arizona mostly offers guys that they really feel like they have a good chance to go get. And if I shouldn't say that they feel like they have a good chance because it implies that if they don't offer, they feel like they can't get the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if Tommy Lloyd really set his mind to making sure that Tyran Stokes was on Arizona, that it would be the case, right? You're his national team coach. There feels like there's a good relationship there, and also, I mean, like we've spoken to on this podcast before, Tommy Lloyd is very good about knowing when to apply pressure on recruits and knowing when to go after a guy and knowing when something is a dead mission before it starts, right? And I think maybe based on conversations he's had or not had with Tyran Stokes, he believes that he's destined to stay on that range of the country, and he just wants to stay close to home, and he wants to be that hometown hero kind of guy.
But he does play in California right now,
he does.
For high school, so that kind of would then almost kind of evaporate that argument, in my opinion, because he's clearly able to move to the West Coast to play high school basketball. So it seems like he'd be willing to do so to play college basketball as well.
Devil's advocate, because I think, spoiler, I think you're right. But devil's advocate for the argument I was making is that maybe he got a little homesick going out there for some of the formative years of his life, and so, now he can get paid to go back and play basketball at home.
And it is the dream.
It's the dream, right?
It's like Evan Nelson playing for U of A.
Yeah, exactly. And with all due respect to Evan Nelson, like, I don't think Tyran Stokes sees himself as a guy that's going to have multiple turns at the college turnstile, right?
Yeah.
So this is his only chance to do this in his entire life. Damn, I feel like that was an unnecessary shot at Evan Nelson. But you get what I was saying by alluding my point there of that.
I don't think it was an unnecessary shot. They're not exactly perfect comparisons in terms of
prospects,
caliber of recruit.
Exactly.
Here. Yeah. My point was more just that, like, you grew up rooting and wanting to play for a basketball program your whole life. That doesn't
1000%.
necessarily change once you get to that level.
Yes. And I feel like, if Arizona and Tommy Lloyd felt that they could really sway him off of whatever track he was currently on, I feel like maybe they would have offered him during that gold medal run. And I feel like maybe that would have been, the kind of track we're heading down.
I'm not sure. I'm not exactly certain whether or not they're able to.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Offer
The
at
dead
that
period.
exact time or not.
You're right.
We would need to look into that more, but it does at least give, if that's something that they are interested in, Tommy Lloyd gets a upfront look at him and can determine whether or not that's something that they want to pursue. But yeah, I mean, it definitely is a long shot. I don't think that we're going to sit up here and be like, oh, Tyran Stokes to U of A. When's that hammer dropping? Because it's coming eventually. But man, would that be special? And also, I think it just goes to show how great Tommy Lloyd is perceived across circles of recruiting, college, high school basketball. Like, how can you not love this guy? How can you not feel great about him? Having the keys to the program for, basically until, in my opinion, he really doesn't want to anymore. But Kevin, let's go ahead and take a peek at that point one more time. I just want to watch the play. The other thing is it's not like the assist is anything that crazy.
No,
it's not like he's doing some like spinning, white chocolate, like Magic Johnson, like up around his head type of assist on the break. It's kind of just the easy dish out pass, and the fact that he like made it into this thing where he's pointing at Tommy Lloyd, that's where it seems kind of like, it's not like it was like, I'm about to put on a show and look at this.
You see what you're missing?
As he like throws a pass like behind his back with one hand like that. You know what I mean? Like it's like he made the right decision, and then his first thought was, I need to look straight at Tommy Lloyd and give him a point and be like, you see that? And I feel like that, like, I don't know, I don't want to dissect it to too much of it's tiny little detail level, but it does feel like to me that like it means more to me the fact that it was such a simple pass rather than, like some like highlight assist. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And I'm really glad that you brought this up because I didn't think about the highlight assist versus, ordinary assisting. But I was getting ready this morning and I was thinking about why he celebrated that, like why he pointed at Tommy Lloyd. And I was thinking in a more realistic sense. I was thinking to myself, like, it's possible that is just something that a pass or a play that Tommy Lloyd had been trying to get him to make more consistently, or he felt like he could really add that to his game if he just focused on it more. And maybe he makes that pass and he thinks, I got you, Tommy. I told you I would do that. And then Tommy's giving him the wink like, yep, that's me right there. I told you. Maybe that's kind of the vibe of it. Or maybe on the other more, I guess, pessimistic, for lack of a better word, side of ththings, maybe he's looking at Tommy Lloyd and Tom Izzo like, no offer? Kind of crazy. Like, you see what I'm doing out here? That's another assist on your head top. You know what I mean? And I think that could be kind of like a playful competitiveness thing with a coach that, you revere and you respect, but also didn't offer you, right? And I think that, like, like I said, it's likely that Tommy Lloyd knows better than to offer Tyran Stokes because he probably doesn't think he can just swoop Tyran Stokes away from wherever he has already decided he is going, right? And but I do think that an athlete is a competitor and competitors are who they are. And I think that not getting offers from certain schools, not getting offers from guys that literally have coached you probably makes you subconsciously feel a type of way if you're trying to get some motivation in that sense. And so I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking about why point at those two in that moment, because I feel like a lot of players, when you see these, like, man, throwback to back in the day when you're watching those Ball is Life highlight reels, you know what I mean? And there's a massive coach in the building for blank recruit. And usually they don't really acknowledge them either until after the game, or maybe they do it before the game in the warm-ups. They walk over, shake their hand, take a photo or something. But it kind of felt like a weird kind of thing to do. I feel like it wasn't like, again, I'm not here to try to make too much of it, but it was like a unique thing for him to have done in that moment off of just, like you said, a very normal assist.
Yeah, it really was. Tyran Stokes is that kind of that quintessential blue chipper prospect that you often see at the front of a particular class's recruiting rankings. 6'7", Kevin, listed at 245 pounds at 17 years old.
I know. Listed
at 245 pounds at 17 years old. That is absolutely wild, man. That's an NBA body already. And it's what you're used to seeing, right? Like an AJ DeBansta, Cooper Flagg, Paulo Banchero. Like a lot of the guys who have been the kind of the clear-cut number ones recently have been wings that have, NBA size and frames already. And Tyran Stokes feels like he's definitely that special level of prospect.
No, yeah, he definitely does. And I think, like, when you're talking about his frame, like, it's really impressive that he's so dense, like, already, right? I feel like that's something that you usually fill out into that kind of a density muscle-wise. But it feels like he has that kind of physicality already. I haven't watched every Tyran Stokes performance, but I feel like I can't wait for him to add that next tier of physicality to his game. He already is a very physical player. We've seen the highlight reel posters and all that stuff, and he's he can get quite emotional in a good way out there. Like, he dunks and lets you know about it kind of guy. But I'm excited for him to add that next level of just like, I'm bigger than you, I'm stronger than you, I'm taking you to the rack, and that's just what we're doing. You know what I mean? I'm excited for him to add that to his game. And I think, hey, if you're watching Tyran Stokes, if you're watching Stokes family, I think Tommy Lloyd, he could get it done. He could get that into his game at the next level. But yeah, no, I'm with you. The physicality is unbelievable. The frame is unbelievable, and that skill set maxed with the physicality and frame is why he's the number one prospect in his class for certain.
Yeah, I was just reading right now on the I believe the Fox Sports affiliate of Louisville that essentially that Louisville is considered the favorite. This was as of 2 days ago. With Kentucky building some serious momentum and Kansas set to have a visit, I believe, later on in the process as well. But with, as you mentioned, Arkansas and USC, Eric Musselman's USC also building a little bit of momentum. It feels like those five are kind of the schools that are in it right now, which to me, I mean, that says at least that it's not closed up. We're not maybe he has his preferences, but 5 schools, like that's not a tiny short list that you're focusing on. So who knows, man? Maybe it is more open than maybe like you would feel as Arizona fans without an offer being on the table right now. But Tyran Stokes is set to be an unbelievable player at the next level. Performed well in the U19 World Cup when he got opportunity to. He wasn't playing a ton early on in the tournament, but his best game probably happened in that first round of 16 elimination game where he got a bunch of playing time against Jordan. Of course, Jordan was not really on the same level as the U.S., and I think it allowed for Tommy Lloyd to give more of a rest to the Debanstas and the Koapites of the world, but kind of allowed you to give Tyran Stokes, who's a year below those guys, a chance to kind of run the show. And he in 24 minutes, he scored 19 points. He went 9 of 11 shooting in that game, had 11 rebounds, had 10 assists, Kevin. I mean, probably the best game any single player had the entire U19 World Cup, facilitating, rebounding, and scoring as well in limited minutes and doing so at an incredibly efficient level. And then he rounded out with double digits in every game after that, 10, 12, 10 in 19, 18, and 15 minutes respectively. Shot 70%, all things considered, in that tournament from the field. Yeah, man. Not a big 3-point shooter. Like, just looking at this, that's going to be one thing to his game that he's going to need to improve for sure, is his perimeter shooting. But definitely feels like a good playmaker for that size, and has the physicality to be a real presence in college basketball from the moment that he steps on the court.
I have 2 thoughts. First thought is I only have one reaction to what you just said about all his offers and how skilled he is and all his great performances. Is I don't want to live in a world where Kansas is able to swoop in and bring this cat to the Big 12 and he's got to face off against Arizona. It's like, I don't want to do any of that. I want to keep Tyran Stokes. If he's not going to Arizona, I want to keep Tyran Stokes as far away from the Big 12.
Oh yeah,
as humanly possible, because he is that good, right? And I don't want to have to deal with him at Kansas if I'm Tommy Lloyd in Arizona. And then also just a quick tangential thing, we were talking about like why he might have pointed at Tommy Lloyd a little bit, and it popped through my head of like maybe that was like a specific play that like Tommy Lloyd likes to run, and they were able to implement it in their team stuff, and he pointed at Tommy Lloyd to say like, hey, I remember that play. We stole that play from you. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. But back to like what you were saying about his elite skill set. Being a playmaker at that size and that frame, especially like think about the level of basketball he's at right now. Like this isn't a 6'7" guy at the college level who's been there for 2 years and has added playmaking to his game. And you know what I mean? Like he's becoming more well-rounded because of he's not big enough to be a center, but he's not small enough to be a full 3. So he's kind of like a tweener 4. But when you're a younger basketball player and you're 6'7", 250 pounds, and you're a grown man physically, right? Like you're gonna get put in the post all the time, right? And so I feel like being able to play make out of the post because of like when you're watching Koa Pete, he operates, and when you're watching him in high school, he operated a lot. Obviously, when he's initiating the offense, he's at the top of the key, but he was able to operate a lot out of the post and play make out of the post because he's your biggest guy. You know what I mean? So what are you going to do? Play him at the point guard? That's kind of silly because then who's going to match up with the other team's center? So I feel like for Tyran Stokes to be able to play make out of the post, play make in general all across the court at his size is truly special. And it shows as to why so many teams are kind of foaming at the mouth to get him into their program.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, and it's a lot of recruits that Arizona is Tyran Stokes obviously is kind of the belle of the ball when it comes to the 2026 class, but Arizona is in on some pretty high level guys when it comes to who they're potentially targeting. And I actually didn't see this. Jason Crow Jr., who I know Saul Bookman was pretty high on from going out there and watching Colorado Springs practices for the U19 trials. I don't believe Jason Crow Jr. made the team, but he said that he was kind of scoring at will and was really showing out there at the trials. He commits to Missouri. So Kevin, your Mizzou Tigers, they land a pretty big time recruit in a top 5 overall guy.
Yeah, I know. I did see that. I was talking to some other Arizona Wildcats fans about that exact commitment there because I was saying, look, I'm an only child. You know what I mean? I'm cool with sharing, but it's not my favorite thing in the world. And selfishly, if all my teams could just have all the top talent, that would be great. You know what I mean? And I don't want to share it with nobody else. So if Tommy Lloyd can go swoop Tyran Stokes out from the cold hard clutches of Louisville and Kentucky, and then Jason Crow can end up at Mizzou, life is going to be so great for me. Life is great already. I'm not really going to bank on the Tyran Stokes thing, but yeah, no. Overall, the class 2026 is incredibly exciting. You do have some top talents already flying off the board. Tyran Stokes could be next. You also have, guys like a Kenna Alozie as well, right? Guys like the Arizona are actually in on that are at the top of this class and could really make some noise. Cam Holmes, Cam Williams, to name a couple other Cams as well. So, yeah, Damon, the class 2026 could get crazy as well.
Yeah, and after Arizona did what they did in 2025, it seems like that'd be a tough one to kind of, top, right? Because Arizona was the number 1 high school recruiting class in 2025, the number 3 overall class, as we have here on screen. And if you're watching with us, or if you're listening with us with one of our audio listeners, basically just showing the 2025 recruiting classes overall, which means transfers times high school recruits. But Arizona's number 3, just behind Duke, just behind Houston, for an absolutely special class headlined by Koa Pete, Braden Burries, of course, Dwayne Aristode, and then you have the international prospects and Evan Nelson rounding that one out. But one of the best recruiting classes in the entire country, clear cut, Kevin. Tough to beat, right? Tough to beat. And if you wouldn't mind, actually, what was that number on the overall number that you see there?
That is 67.72.
67.72 was the final class grade ranking that was given to Arizona with all of their recruits involved. I have here, Kevin, I did a little bit of, I used 247 Sports' class calculator, which is a really cool feature that they have on there, to basically determine what would a potential recruiting class look like for the Arizona Wildcats in 2026. And this is what, as some of the players that Kevin just alluded to right now, you have a Kenna Alozie, 5-star, I believe, out of Dream City, right?
Yes.
And is, I think someone that a lot of Arizona fans feel pretty good about. I know I do. Arizona's position in terms of bringing him in. And then you also have Cam Holmes from Millennium here in the state of Arizona. That feels pretty solid as well. Cam Holmes is currently the 23rd prospect in the country, according to 247 Sports. And then you have Cam Williams from St. Mary's, who, is top 10 recruit in the country, absolute behemoth of a human being, as I laid my eyes on him at Section 7, one of the tallest power forwards I think I've ever seen in my life. NBA power forward is what I would call him. And that's what that class would yield. If Arizona was to bring in probably their 3 most likely, I would argue, blue chipper prospects here, the guys that Arizona is probably recruiting the hardest and feels the best about. And I think a lot of people in particular feel that Alozie and Cam Holmes are pretty solid. Maybe Arizona is the solid leader for those 2 players. Cam Williams, on the other hand, is maybe a little bit more up in the air, a little bit higher regarded as a prospect than those other 2. But I think that and whenever you have a blue chip Phoenix recruit as the Arizona basketball program, you have to feel pretty good about your odds.
No, yeah, you really do. And I think you've laid out a class that would be incredibly impressive. And that is not even taking into account any potential transfers, any potential, high 3-star, low 4-star, whatever, like other tertiary recruits that you want to bring into this class.
Yeah.
Any international guys as well. So that class could also be incredibly special, Damon. And I love that we've mentioned Kenna Alozie and the 2 Cams as well, because you're right about the keeping in-state talent in-state is incredibly important if you're Arizona, especially because Arizona is a talent-rich state right now. There's a ton of great high school hoopers in the state of Arizona right now. And so it's not like you can just be letting guys go from, Arizona to other states or, heaven forbid, to ASU, because there are talented hoopers here. So you can't just, be greedy, and you can't, or not greedy. You can't just take for granted that you're Arizona and you're going to get all the best talent. You have to keep actively building that up and keep that status as the owner of the state's recruiting as new. You got to renew your lease every once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what it is? I think that Arizona has become like a real like family raising state. So with that, like, because it's a little bit cheaper than maybe some of the alternatives that you'd find, that you find families starting up here, and that means that the talent pools just keep getting richer and richer.
Lots of former athletes
from a
out
recruiting
here too.
standpoint. Yeah, former athletes love Arizona, love the Valley area in particular, Scottsdale, Paradise Valley. Like, I do think that is a big reason why you're seeing such an influx in talent in this state from a recruiting standpoint, way more than you saw 10 years ago. I mean, way more than you saw 10 years ago. The level of athlete is just growing, and it's really cool to see. But that only helps a program like Arizona basketball, who is, the premier program on the West Coast, really, but especially in the state. And, if there's going to be high-level Phoenix Hoopers, Arizona's going to want to go after those guys and have a real good shot at getting them. It's not often that you see those guys kind of slip through their hands. I believe you do have another guy here in this class who is rated pretty highly. Yeah, Mika Murin from Compass Prep. Yes. And Arizona's not really going after him, and he's technically a Valley area hooper. But I don't think that he, correct me if I'm wrong here, Kevin, I don't think that he's from Phoenix, which that does change things a little bit for me. Like Cam Williams is, he goes to St. Mary's, which is in the heart of the city of Phoenix. It's where Channing Frye went to school, who we'll talk about here in a second. But it's that's like going for like Koa Pete going to Perry. You know what I mean? Like, that's not and I know Akenna Alozie, another guy who goes to in Arizona, is targeting that guy. But I think that the prep schools are a little bit different, just because those guys draw in recruits from all over the place. So they're not necessarily like, they don't have Valley like ties. You know what I mean? Like the Koa Petes and the Cam Williams and the Cam Holmeses do.
No, yeah, I totally get where you're coming from with that. And it is different if you, born, grew up, went to school, the whole thing in the state of Arizona.
Mika's from Finland, and he went to high school in Kansas to start his high school career.
What a jump! You're like, hey, you see this guy in Kansas, and you're like, where are you from? And he's like, Finland. Like, how do you end up in Kansas, America, USA?
Probably because he wanted to go to Kansas.
But then you end up in Arizona. Maybe he wants to go to Arizona.
I don't know. I probably realized that he doesn't need to go to a high school in Kansas to try to go to Kansas, but instead, okay, let me get somewhere a little bit nicer. But
he thought it was like European soccer, where like the youth club is like in the city. So like if you're in the city, you're elite, you can get picked up by the Liverpool Youth Club or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe he's like, hey, Bill Self's just gonna come to my high school game and just bring me onto the senior squad. It's gonna be great.
Oh, this 6'11" guy's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I think that, just in general, like I feel pretty good about the odds of those three guys potentially going to the University of Arizona. And that would lead to a class that is essentially on the level of what this class is and what this current 2025 class just got brought in is. As you mentioned, Kevin, that class calculator has that as a 67.72 on this 2025 class. If they brought in those three recruits, that would be a projected score of 65.04. And as you mentioned, with no other transfers or kind of rotational recruits to be brought in as well. But if you were to potentially mess around with it and say, hey, what if, in our dreamland scenario, add Tyran Stokes to the mix? What if Tommy Lloyd was able to convince him to pop on? Tyran Stokes, the number one overall recruit, makes this a 69.67 class, which would be good for better than this 2025 class that Arizona brought in, and better than any class in the country this past season, except for the Duke Blue Devils, who had a 70.04. But like I said, that wouldn't even be the end all be all of the class. You would still have probably another addition or two to stick in there, and you probably would have, when it's all said and done, Kevin, one of the greatest recruiting classes in the history of college basketball. If you were able to pull something like that off, that's 4 5-stars.
If you were able to pull off that fantasy scenario, not only would the all-time ratings reflect, right, that recruiting class's greatness, but also the expectations would reflect that recruiting class's greatness as well. This is a fan base that has high expectations at all times.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even imagine the expectations.
Oh my God!
If that were to come to fruition, not to mention the possible returning guys that might not have gotten to show enough of their skill, like maybe a CD Gay or a Mobile Mawut.
Even a Mo Krivas.
Yeah, I was about to say even a Mo Krivas potentially. That roster would be unbelievably loaded. And the expectations, I think, would be for Arizona to blow every team out by 15 in this fan base. And I don't even know if we can sustain that, you and I doing that every week. So, yes, that is a far out fantasy. And, yeah, I don't know what I would do for that to be the reality that we live in. But that would be a high wire act for Tommy Lloyd to manage those expectations if he had the greatest recruiting class of all time in combination with some of really high quality returners as well.
Pressure makes diamonds, Kevin. Pressure makes diamonds. That was Dwayne Aristote. I believe that was his favorite quote on the little get to know Dwayne Aristote social video that the Arizona basketball team released. So
Dwayne Aristote, also the classic athlete that only reads sports books.
Yeah. What did he say? Kobe and Michael Jordan's book. But let's be real for a second. Dwayne Aristote didn't read the full book of either one.
You don't think so?
No.
I feel like those are pretty easy reads.
Go back and listen to how he said that. He may be the Kobe one.
I didn't listen too close.
The MJ one, he goes, and MJ had a book.
Oh, yeah, he did. He said, MJ had a book, right?
A lot of people had a book, brother.
I think MJ probably had a couple books, to be quite frank. But, that was a fun little video of Dwayne Aristote getting to know him. They did one with Bryce James, too, and I learned that Bryce James is just like me.
For more on that, check out our YouTube channel, PHNX Sports on YouTube. Kevin did a great short just highlighting how Bryce James is just a normal kid like everybody else.
He's just a normal guy. Just totally. His father is just one of the greatest athletes of all time. It's just normal stuff in the James household there, Damon. But we also, before we get out of here, we do have some more news and notes, Damon. Channing Frye. You alluded to it earlier. We talked about Nick Foles yesterday being inducted to the Arizona Hall of Fame. Channing Frye has joined the likes of Nick Foles in those ranks. What was your initial reaction to that this morning?
Good for Channing Frye, another player on a long list of Arizona basketball players that make a mark. It's crazy how, we are, like in a spot here, Kevin, where even when you have a player like Channing Frye, it kind of just feels like any other day of the week, right? It's just like, oh yeah, 15-year NBA veteran Channing Frye is joining the U of A basketball or the U of A Hall of Fame. Cool. One of the 30 players who went on to have elite careers in the National Basketball Association. And man, I don't mean to like disparage him in that way. It's more just to say like how crazy our basketball program is at developing maybe not stars in the NBA, but guys that go to the NBA and play long careers on winning basketball teams and kind of leave their mark in a really big way. So shout out Channing Frye, much deserved. And as I said, went to St. Mary's, Phoenix area hooper. Hopefully Cameron Williams follows in Channing Frye's footsteps there as kind of that 6'11" stretch big man that wants to join the University of Arizona and shows out in the process. So shout out Channing Frye.
Yeah, and shout out to Erica Day for allowing us to start the show at 53 minutes in. I appreciate her for allowing us to do that. But I think what you're alluding to with Channing Frye is the idea that like Arizona is such a great program, and it's in part because of guys like Channing Frye taking part in the program, right? That when Channing Frye, my point is Channing Frye, if he chose most other programs, he'd be like an all-time great, and fan bases would kind of be like, Channing Frye's our guy. Like, I love Channing Frye. And we also love Channing Frye, but he's one of many alum that we love and revere, and we reflect on their careers, and we're like, man, it's so awesome. Channing Frye was a Wildcat. Oh, yeah, and Richard Jefferson. Oh my God, Mike Big. Oh, and you just start going through the whole list. So he is a part of a long list of great Arizona Wildcats. Yeah. So that doesn't make him any less of a great Arizona Wildcat. It just means he's a part of a really fun fraternity in that way. I had a similar reaction to the one yesterday where we were talking about Nick Foles of like, yep, that's a Hall of Fame Wildcat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I felt like they've already been inducted in a way, so I can't wait for, like, I don't know, John Button Salmon to get inducted or something. Like,
You think he's not?
No, but that's my point. Is I'm saying, like, I guess we're just inducting guys and girls that we all already love and revere and respect at a Hall of Fame level. I can't wait for like an upset. You know what I mean?
But there's not going to be a single person that U of A fans are like, no, not him.
Not like that. Just like, oh, okay, we're in the Hall of Fame. Okay, you know what I mean? Kind of like I can't wait for the first like borderline Arizona Hall of Famer that you and I can get on here and be like, ugh.
I don't know if that's my vibe.
See, I'm totally about it. Keep the Hall of Fames exclusive, man.
Oh, I'm all about that. I'm just talking about from a U of A Hall of Fame perspective, because almost every single person that you're going to mention is going to be someone that is like brought me joy as a child at this point, and was a fixture in my growing up. So it's like like you could be like Jared Tevez just joined the Arizona Hall of Fame, and I'd be like, hell yeah, man. The guy was a great safety for this team for 3 seasons. And then you're just like, well, that he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame for being a really good safety. And I'd be like, the hell he doesn't. Mm-hmm. I beg to differ. 2014 Arizona football is one of the greatest years of my entire life. But yeah, I think we'll keep you monitored for that. Not super, what's the word for it? Controversial. Adding Channing Frye or Nick Foles to the Arizona Hall of Fame here. Controversial is a tough word, man. Not everyone remembers that one.
People forget, man.
Had to dig into my thesaurus for controversial.
I was gonna say, Damon, we have 4 minutes left on this podcast. Can we conjure up a handful of Arizona Wildcats that are locks for the Arizona Hall of Fame today? Active. I mean, Noah Fifita 1-1 off the board.
I mean, we burn the entire Hall of Fame to the ground if Noah Fifita doesn't make it.
Correct. Noah Fifita, first overall pick in the hypothetical.
So they got to be current players. Like we can't do T-Mac and Jonah.
Correct. Yeah, they just missed the window, even though they're also on this list. But yeah, they just missed that.
No Mason White.
No, unfortunately, no. No Devin Nets.
Because those are some big time players,
and they're all gonna be in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean?
Probably. I would say so. Yeah, that's an interesting question. I like the Noah Fifita shout. I think from a football standpoint, he's really the only guy that I would say, unless there's like a freshman in this next class, like Isaiah Mizell just is the GOAT, and we just haven't seen him play yet. But, it's also tough with basketball because some of the better players you expect to leave Arizona faster, which makes that conversation really, really intriguing.
If Arizona basketball wins the conference at a minimum this upcoming basketball season, Jaden Bradley? Like, what's the bar of accomplishment for the Hall of Fame? Because I feel like
I don't think that I think like if we're talking about keeping Hall of Fame's exclusive, Kevin, to me, Jaden Bradley, like the definition of Hall of very good, Hall of great.
Okay.
Like just a step below what you would consider like a star player. And that's no disrespect to him. I think that he's a winner, and I think that that's the guy I want as the point guard of my team. And I just don't think that he's like that next upper echelon star necessarily.
What would the freshmen on Arizona basketball next year, like Cole Pete, Braden Burries, Dwayne Aristode, what would they have to accomplish for them to be, in the Hall of Fame game here?
Man, first team All-American. And if we're talking about one season, right?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the bar.
First team All-American.
Like I think Ayton and Aaron Gordon probably have shouts for Hall of Fame because they were such transcendent freshmen, one and done freshmen. And so, you have a guy in Koa P or Braden Burries. I think I like Dwayne Aristode. Like, I don't want to discount him. I just don't think that he has that ceiling. The two top 10 recruits that you brought in, though, in Koa P or Braden Burries, they could potentially do that. You know what I mean? Will they? That's a tough discussion. You have like a guy like Yaxel at Michigan who plays the same position as Koa Pete, and like that dude will probably be like a shoo-in for one of the All-American spots. It feels like, because he's already being crowned. Like it makes it difficult. But I think that you gotta probably. I mean, here's the Andre Iguodala made it in 2024. He wasn't like insane at Arizona. He was good, but he wasn't some, as I said, transcendent type of Arizona basketball player. So, I think that having a good career in the pros and having an elite one season at Arizona is good enough if you're Koa Peter Brayton Burries.
Real quick before we get out of here, I'm going to throw one last name at you that I think should get in.
Yeah.
Tony Pluta. Want to stop?
Yeah, so I was going to say Tony Pluta. Tony Pluta makes
saves.
sense for sure, especially if Arizona has another good season next year with him playing a big role. I think, it's early, but like Smith Bailey.
Yeah.
If he gives you 2 more years of what he just gave you,
ceiling is there.
Yeah, I mean you were talking about a big ceiling. How about
Tommy Lloyd?
Well, duh, yeah.
Seth Dagey. I mean, we're talking about GOAT status with Seth Dagey.
Seth Dagey Field at Arizona Stadium.
Dagey Field.
I'm ready to take it a step further, man.
The Dagey Dome.
By the way, little Seth Dagey retweet on our Noah Fafita getting ready to throw out his first pitch video.
Love that.
Friend of the program.
No
big deal.
Friend of the boys. But yeah, Damon, should we get out of here for today? Is that it?
Let's go ahead and do it. Rounding it out with a little bit of Hall of Fame discussion as Channing Frye announced that he's going to be joining the Arizona Athletics Hall of Fame. Kevin, it was a fun show. We talked a little bit about U of A night, a little bit about that scoundrel Kenny Dillingham trying to steal the spotlight over at a Diamondbacks game on U of A night, as well as Tyran Stokes to Arizona and what the 2026 class could be shaping out to be. It's going to do it for us today on a Wednesday edition of the AZ Wildcats podcast. I'm not going to be here the next 2 days, but Kevin is going to be holding things down on Thursday and Friday. So make sure you guys join him with his special array of guests as Spears tomorrow, as well as some fun shows lined up. Going to be the first non-Damon Spears times Kevin show in a really long time.
That's a good point.
Wonder what they're going to talk about behind my back when I'm not there. But make sure everybody's there. Like this video, of course, if you watched this one and stuck with us till the end. Appreciate you. Even you, Vontez Buckshanks. We even appreciate you, brother. But shout out to everybody for being here. Drop all these likes on the videos. Let's run it up. Every single person that watches should be liking this video. And we'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. on another edition of the AZ Wildcats podcast. But until then, peace out. Bear down.
And go Cats. Tyran Stokes. What does it mean?
We all silly like the mayor.